Divine greetings, ones and zeros, zeros and ones, boys and girls that are now men and women, kings and queens, gods and goddesses, spiritual beings of this divine matrix. Welcome. My name is Clay. Today, in this rewiring of my mental, I want to talk about evolution in existence. And this has to do with certain things that we don't want to look at as a people. And it's a thing that within myself, I find that I didn't want to look at it. Even now coming into doing this video, this share, I didn't want to look at it because it's one of those things that stray my mind, because of my prejudice before the mental break. I would have this strayed mentality where I'm so prejudiced in my soul because of the fear in my soul. And that has to do with the dichotomy or the dualistic approach of mankind or humans, where you have the native human and you have the more non-native human, or you have the colonizer and then you have the colonized people, wherein the colonizer typically is the white race, and that which has been colonized is the native race or the black race or the African people or the more African people, more melanated people. So I find that within my consciousness, right, within my soul, I have the tendency to want to be prejudiced towards white people because white people are the ones who have been the colonizer, right? So I want to hit out against them. I want to revenge, right? However, in my more healed state now, I'm seeing wherein revenge is really to look inside oneself and see where I have gone wrong, where it is that I have wronged myself. Because coming from the creation story where I hold myself accountable, and as I said that in the Bible, that Bible story, it said, "Let us make man in our image," right? And as it said, "Let us make man in our image," I'm reminded that this is God talking to other gods, saying, "Let us make man in our image." And as I am a God, as I've accepted that I am a God, I realize that this is the process of intermixing with the higher species or the more enlightened beings with the less enlightened beings. So this is tantamount to what they would call the fallen angels, the gods sleeping with the fallen angels, or the fallen angels now mixing with the lower beings. And as I say that, science will prove to you, or science will tell you, that the Neanderthal species of people is now extinct. Yet still the Neanderthal DNA can be found in the Caucasian man, in the white people, in the white race for the most part. And it is not existent in the African people. So it's the Neanderthal gene is existent in the non-African people, as you would say, right? Now, when you look at that, when I look at that, what I see is the evolution in existence, right? Meaning that there's a story that as mankind traveled from within Africa to the colder regions, to the more, the regions that have less light, right? And became isolated, they developed into the Caucasian being, right? Now, that is the story of evolution that is there. And as they became isolated, they became into the Caucasian race. Now, that race of people, the Caucasian people, then mixed with the Neanderthal man that was already there, right? And as they mix with the Neanderthal man, what that is saying is that this is a more fearful type of people. If you notice, the further away from the equator you go, where the equator is the tropical regions. These regions are flush regions. These regions have an abundance of food, an abundance of light, an abundance of weather. Everything is abundant. It is more fertile. The further away from the equator you go, the less fertile the land actually becomes, which is telling you that the further away from the equator you go, the more fearful the people that are living away from the equator, for the most part, will be. So the Neanderthal man is a very fearful man, right? And as the Caucasian mixed with the Neanderthal man, the Caucasian became very fearful. And the native people, which is closer to the equator, right, are in the tropical regions, is a less fearful kind of people, is a more loving kind of people, actually, right? To put it in the dualistic relationship of love and fear, which is, this is what we have to balance. Once we get here in this space of earth, we have to balance black and white and see that it's mostly gray. Christ talk about lukewarm. Don't be lukewarm. The more you be lukewarm, you want to spit that out. You spit out that, because that is a terrible thing, to be lukewarm, right? You actually want to be gray. You want to be balanced, equilibrium. So now, going forward to the understanding of the evolution in plain sight, and me having my prejudice, and the white race having their racism, because racism is the ability to put your fear onto people, and prejudice is the ability to put your fear onto people. The thing is that the white race is the one with the power. The white race is the one with the nuclear weapons. You understand? They are the ones who are more fearful. So they do the inducing of the fear. So one of the examples that came to mind the other day was I was watching a program on YouTube by Brother Kwaku, and he mentioned something about the African wild dog. And as he mentioned that something about the African wild dog, I remember that in my awakening process, I received a download about the African wild dog. And the African wild dog, the download that I received was saying that the African wild dog is the only dog that naturally either makes a den, burrows a den into the ground for itself, using existing dens, or it makes its den itself, right? And what that was saying to me is that this is an original dog, right? Now, having this original dog, all dogs come from that original dog. So you will see that today you have pit bulls, you have chihuahuas, you have all different type of dogs, right? These dogs are, from what I gather, right? And science tell you too, because when I Google it, after receiving the download, I Google it, and Google confirmed that that is what it is. The dog is a mix of the wild African dog and the wolf, right? So you see that this is evolution taking place right in front of our eyes. Now, you're not going to find a dog, for example, a chihuahua, that is going to make a den, a burrowing. They're not going to burrow like that because they've been domesticated. This is a different type of dog. This dog is not so native as the wild African dog, right? So it's the same way where certain attitudes and behaviors in human beings have evolved in time, where now you will find, for example, in my case, I'm a more enlightened being coming off of the schizophrenic break. I'm in a state of mind where I'm a more loving being rather than a more fearful being. And people will deny this because of their own fears, because of their own trauma, because of their own wounds, right? However, in life, you can see that for the most part, the race of people that is more fearful, is more fear-based, is the white race of people. And so you go on to the white race of people, you get to what they call the Middle East, which some people call it the Middle West, or you can call it the Arabic people, then there's the Chinese people, there's the Indian people. These, if you follow the nuclear weaponry, you will see what kind of people is the more fearful kind of people. The people with nuclear weapons, these are the more fearful kind of people, because fear tends to bind together with fear, because they understand that this is what it takes for them to survive, right? This is what it takes for them to provide protection for their trauma. Now, as it is, the African people, the more native people, there is no native people with nuclear weapons, because the native people are the more loving kind of people. This is simply what it is. And I'm speaking like this now because I'm realizing that I'm attacking my own self. Because as we say as African people, Ubuntu, right? I am because we are. The white man is within me. The Chinaman is within me. The Pakistanian is within me. The Indian is within me. Every single race is within me, because I understand my spirituality. In spirituality, we are one, right? And it is in spirituality that then we chose to come here to have this experience as humans, right? Now, as we come here to have this experience as humans, some people are more adept in listening to their soul, in being in tune with their soul. And this is testimony to the, okay, I'll give you an example of evolution and how it plays a different part in the different beings. Jane Elliot comes to mind. As I speak of Jane Elliot, I talk about racism. This is a woman who has dedicated her life based on her soul contract and her ability to be in tune with her own trauma, recognizing that racism is a terrible thing, and has dedicated her life so far to unseat her demons ancestrally, generationally. So she would have to have done inner childhood work, generational curse work, ancestry work, in order to unseat her demons, to see the truth of what it is. When she says things that talk about the white race being the race of people that have colonized people, and speak about that we all come from the Eve gene. We all come from the African woman in Africa who everything evolved from, all species evolved from. She speak about us being all cousins, right? Which is a nice way of putting it. We are all related as human beings, right? Now, within that being said that we are all related as human beings, right? There are different categories of human beings. Just like you have cousins, and you have aunties, and you have uncles, right? Just like you have these things, there are different categories of human beings. Now what I am seeing is that in this age of Aquarius, where, at least on my side, and I know this is what it is in life in general, this is what it is in society as we speak about the age of Aquarius. In the age of Aquarius, nothing is hidden. Nothing is hidden should a person choose to unseat their own demons. Should a person choose to do their generational trauma, take care of the generational trauma, their ancestral trauma, their inner childhood trauma, and their cosmic trauma, right? When you unseat those demons, or when you are in tune with the awareness that all these traumas affect the human being as a spiritual being, when you take into consideration those traumas and you pay attention to those traumas and unseat those demons, heal those wounds, you will begin to see the trauma in the earth. Colonization has provided or has produced this type of civilization for humans today. And this is, some would say we're in the Iron Age, some would say we're in the Bronze Age. I prefer to say we're in the Bronze Age, where we're coming out of the Iron Age, where we're coming out of the denser part of the fear psychosis as a people on the earth, right? As a people on the earth, we are coming out of the fear psychosis. We are being induced, you would say, are being led by the earth, by our own soul contracts to be more loving beings. So you will hear languages or narratives that say we're coming out of the 3D era, right? 3 dimension. All the dimensions are on top of one another. They're in the same plane, believe it or not. However, it is only certain people who have been attuned with certain frequencies that can actually detect the avenues of light that is present. So there's a 3 dimension, there's a 4th dimension, and there's a 5th dimension. And there's other dimensions, 6, 7, 8. And I would prefer to go up to 9 dimensions. After 9 dimensions, for me and my awareness, I do not subscribe to those other dimensions, though they exist in a certain understanding. For me, I stop at, or I choose to only at this point in my life pay attention to 9 dimensions. So in any case, what's happening now in this age of Aquarius, we're being shown or given the opportunity to be in the love frequency. In the love frequency, nothing is hidden. In the love frequency, for example, as I'm in the love frequency, I can see the traumas of people more and more and more and more as I unseat my own trauma, as I heal my own trauma. The more you heal your own trauma, the more you attract the density of others. The more you heal your own trauma, the more you attract the density of others. You attract the density within the human populace. You begin to see things in the human populace that is not present that is not present to other people. And let me see. Here is something now that I want to point out. I want to bring me back to the dualistic aspect of the black people and white people scenario, wherein I like to have the analogy, the comparison to the sun rising in the east and setting in the west. When I say the sun rises in the east, I'm reminded by a story or a phrase that says, "Look to the east for the coming of a king," right? Or the coming of a queen. In the east is where things begin. The sun rises in the east. In the east is where light begins. And I like to juxtapose that to black people. So black people would be in the east. And when you set it's in the west, that would be white people. Now, it would be foolish to say that the east is better than the west, or to say that the east is higher than the west, that you prefer east to west. And even if you say you prefer east to west, if you allow that to cause an imbalance of hierarchy within your soul, you're going to be in problems. You're going to be in misery whenever the sun gets to the west, because it is going to get to the west. And then here comes the darkness. And then you're going to have more darkness than light. And that is the reality of the situation. So this is what I am saying when I'm saying there's black people and white people. Black people are superior to white people. Black people are superior, white people are inferior. No different than in the aspect of a man and a woman. A woman is superior to a man being inferior. It is the superior being that is made to be the parent being. It is the superior being that is made to carry the burden of childbirth. And as the woman is made to carry the burden of childbirth, it is black people who is made to carry the generational birth. So people stem from black people. People stem from native people. People stem from the original people. Now, it would be foolish for the original people to see those who are less original and not identify the original within the less original people, because that is what it means to be nurturing. That is what it means to be caring. That is what it means to be loving, right? At the same time, it is the understanding that the mother is the sacrifice for the child. The child must understand that the mother made a sacrifice to bring forth the child. So therefore, black people is the sacrifice. Black people is the sacrificial lamb. And it is for black people to understand that they are the sacrificial lamb, right? They gave birth to the other races and not have a prejudice. Because if you have a prejudice, then you are sabotaging your own generation, your own work. You're sabotaging. That is cognitive dissonance. You're forgetting that you are the one who created this people, or these people, these children. These are your children. And it is also the children who is forgetting that this is my mother. And the moment you forget that this is your mother, you want to kill your mother. Because you're going to say your mother is more than you. You're going to say that your parents are more than you. And this is the trauma that is on the earth. This is the trauma that is within our souls, that we as people need to unseat those demons. We as people need to put away those fears. And we can't say we're just going to put away the fears. There's work to be done in our souls. There's work to be done in our souls. And for the most part, as I'm speaking and giving this message, and I'm rewiring my own mental, I'm seeing that many people will hear this message and say this is foolishness, because they are hurt. They are hurt people. We are hurt people. And as I'm unseating my demons, I am compassionate to seeing that there are people who will hear this message and not be able to detect the truth in the message. Because on the part of black people, they want to be superior. They want to be black superior. They want to be, not acknowledging that we are superior. And for white people, they are going to say they want to be superior, not acknowledging that they are inferior. And as the white person in me says, I am inferior in my fear, in my whiteness. And that is what it is. Now it is for us to understand that we all have a role to play. And as we play these roles, as we play these parts, we can transcend the flesh. We can transcend the body. Now, in actions, in livity, in doing, in ascension, a person who is of a Caucasian persuasion can, in their actions, live a more superior life than a person of a more melanated persuasion. For example, from my observation, Jane Elliot is one of those white people who are living in a more ascended nature than most black people. Because she's in her soul's contract doing her work of unseating demons, and not only doing it for herself, but doing it for people of her ancestry, people of her generation, and people of her immediate family, right? So she's doing it for white people, she's doing it for black people, she's doing it for everyone's ancestors. So in my eyes, that is a more ascended being. That being has ascended a certain degree of physicality. So now you begin to see beyond the flesh. Now you begin to see the soul of the person, the soul of the earth. Ashe. And this is where I want to end this share. I could go on, however, I do not want to make this into a longer video. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, share if you dare. And with this I say Ashe, Amen, and Namaste.